The Dog Who Never Left, a story of unconditional love. When the world turned away, one faithful friend stayed. The morning sun cast long shadows across the busy downtown street. Thousands of polished shoes clicked past on the concrete. Business people rushing to meetings, tourists snapping photos, students hurrying to class. And there, pressed against the cold brick wall of an old building, sat Marcus, with his only companion, a scruffy brown dog named Buddy. People passed without looking. They clutched their coffee cups tighter, checked their phones, or simply stared straight ahead. But the dog never abandoned the homeless man. This is their story, a testament to loyalty that transcends comfort, security, and every reason to walk away. The man the world forgot. Marcus hadn't always lived on the streets. 3 years ago, he had an apartment, a job at a warehouse, and dreams of saving enough money to visit his daughter in another state. But life has a way of unraveling faster than we can hold it together. First came the injury, a bad fall at work that left him with chronic back pain. Then the pills that were supposed to help became their own prison. When he couldn't work anymore, the bills piled up like autumn leaves, and eventually the eviction notice came. His phone was disconnected. His daughter's number, once memorized, slipped from his mind in a fog of pain and desperation. The streets became his home, the cardboard his mattress, the judgmental stares his daily companion. Most people saw Marcus as invisible, a problem to step around, a guilt to suppress, a reminder of how fragile security really is. They saw the dirt on his clothes, the tangled hair, the vacant look that comes from too many nights without real sleep. They didn't see the man who once coached Little League, who could fix almost any engine, who laughed easily and helped his neighbors carry groceries. But one creature saw him clearly. The dog who chose love over comfort. Buddy had been a stray when he first approached Marcus. Some might say the dog was just looking for food, and at first that was probably true. Marcus had shared half a sandwich someone had left on a bench, and the skinny brown mutt with soulful eyes had devoured it gratefully. But then Buddy stayed. Not for more food. Marcus rarely had enough for himself. Not for shelter. They both slept under the same unforgiving sky. Buddy stayed for something that can't be measured in meals or material comfort. He stayed for love. The bond between Marcus and Buddy became the talk of the neighborhood among the few who noticed. Mrs. Chen, who ran the corner grocery, would sometimes save scraps for them. "That dog," she'd say to customers, "he never leaves that man's side. Rain, snow, doesn't matter. That's loyalty you don't see much anymore." She was right. Through scorching summer days when the sidewalk burned their skin, Buddy laid beside Marcus. Through freezing winter lights when their breath came out in clouds, the dog curled against the man's chest, sharing what little warmth they could create together. When Marcus got sick, a brutal flu that left him shaking and delirious for 3 days, Buddy didn't move, except to alert passers-by with urgent barks, trying desperately to get help for his friend. Are you ready to see what unconditional love really looks like? Keep reading, because this story challenges everything we think we know about loyalty, family, and what truly matters in life. The City That Looked Away. Modern life moves fast. We all have somewhere to be, something urgent demanding our attention, deadlines pressing down on our shoulders. It's easy to miss the humanity around us when we're trapped in our own struggles. But the speed of life doesn't fully explain why people ignored Marcus and Buddy. There was something deeper, a discomfort, a fear, perhaps even a quiet voice that whispers, "That could be me."
Research shows that we often avoid making eye contact with homeless individuals, not out of cruelty, but out of psychological self-protection. We fear feeling guilty. We fear being asked for help we don't know how to give. We fear confronting the randomness of fate that separates the housed from the unhoused. So we look away. The businessman who passes Marcus every morning, he increases his pace, pretends to be deep in an important phone call. The tourists who photograph every quirky coffee shop and mural, they angle their cameras carefully to exclude the human being sitting just outside the frame. The joggers who pride themselves on their awareness and presence, they plug in their earbuds a little tighter, let the music drown out any sounds of need. But Buddy looked directly at Marcus every single day. The dog saw him, really saw him, and that made all the difference. The small moments that define everything. Their days together developed a rhythm. Marcus would wake up when the first light touched the buildings, his body aching from the hard ground. Buddy would be alert immediately, tail wagging, ready to face whatever the day brought. They'd walk to the park where there was a water fountain. Marcus would cup his hands and let Buddy drink first, then splash some water on his own face. They'd sit on their usual corner where Marcus held a cardboard sign with simple words, "Anything helps, God bless." Most people wouldn't even read it, but occasionally someone would stop, would press a few dollars into Marcus's weathered hand, would bring a breakfast sandwich or a bottle of water, and Marcus always split whatever food he received with Buddy 50-50, no matter how hungry he was. "You take care of those who take care of you," Marcus would say, scratching behind Buddy's ears. "That's the rule." The dog would lean into his touch, eyes half closed in contentment, as if he understood perfectly. There were harder days, too. Days when teenagers would mock them as they passed, making barking sounds or cruel jokes. Days when police officers would tell them to move along, that they couldn't sit there, even though there was nowhere else to go. Days when it rained so hard that every piece of cardboard dissolved, every corner provided no shelter, and they'd huddle together under a bridge, soaked and shivering. Through it all, Buddy stayed. The dog could have left. There were restaurants with dumpsters full of food. There were neighborhoods where kind families might have taken him in, given him a warm bed and regular meals. There were animal shelters that could have found him a home. But Buddy had already found his home. It wasn't a place, it was a person. The test of true loyalty. The real test came on a bitter February night when temperatures dropped below freezing. Marcus had a deep cough that rattled his chest. His lips were blue. His hands shook uncontrollably. Buddy barked frantically, running in circles, trying to get someone's attention. Finally, a young woman named Sarah, walking home from her nursing shift, stopped. "Oh my God," she breathed, kneeling down. She could see Marcus was in bad shape, hypothermia, possibly pneumonia. She called 911 immediately. When the ambulance arrived, the EMTs worked quickly to get Marcus onto a stretcher. They moved toward the ambulance doors, and that's when Buddy made his choice clear. The dog tried to jump into the ambulance. "Sorry, Buddy," one EMT said, gently blocking him. "No animals allowed. He'll be okay." But Buddy wasn't buying it. He barked urgently, desperately, trying to force his way in. He tried to climb up the high step. When they closed the doors with Marcus inside, Buddy stood on his hind legs, pawing at the metal, barking with everything in him. Sarah watched, tears streaming down her face. "That dog," she said to the EMT, "he won't understand where his person went." "They never do," the EMT replied sadly. "See it all the time." The ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing, and Buddy did something that broke the hearts of everyone watching. He chased it. The dog ran down that city street, dodging cars, his paws slapping against cold pavement, chasing the flashing lights that were taking his person away. He ran 3 full blocks before his legs gave out and he collapsed, panting, watching the ambulance disappear into the distance. Then Buddy walked back to their corner, and he waited. When loyalty becomes a vigil. Marcus was in the hospital for 5 days. Pneumonia, severe malnutrition, infected wounds on his feet. The doctor said if he'd gone one more night in the cold, he might not have made it. But Marcus's first coherent words when he woke up were, "Where's Buddy?" None of the nurses knew what he was talking about. There was no Buddy listed as his emergency contact. No family had come to visit. Meanwhile, back on that corner, Buddy maintained his vigil. Sarah, the nurse who had called.
This is the part of the story that will change how you see the people around you. Are you ready for that shift? Keep reading. For 3 days, Sarah came back with food for Buddy. Other people in the neighborhood started noticing too. Mrs. Chen from the grocery store brought blankets. A man named Tom, who worked at a nearby office, brought a small shelter he'd built from a cardboard box and tarp. A group of college students created a rotation schedule to check on Buddy throughout the day and night. The dog who belonged to a man the world had forgotten was suddenly reminding an entire community what it meant to care. But still, Buddy waited. His eyes tracked every person who walked by, searching for the one face he needed to see. And every time it wasn't Marcus, you could see the disappointment in the way his tail drooped, the way he'd curl back into himself and resume his watch. The reunion that restored faith. On the 5th day, a hospital social worker named Jennifer was reviewing Marcus's case. She'd heard him mention Buddy multiple times and finally asked who that was. "My dog. He's probably wondering where I am. He's waiting for me." "Where would he be waiting?" Jennifer asked. Marcus told her about their corner, their spot. He described Buddy in detail, the scruffy brown fur, the white patch on his chest, the way one ear stood up while the other flopped down. Jennifer made a phone call, then another. By afternoon, she'd connected with Sarah, who broke down crying on the phone. "He's been here the whole time," Sarah said. "He never left." Jennifer pushed the hospital administrators. "This man needs his dog. That dog needs him. We can make an exception here. I know we can." Sometimes the rules we create are meant to be broken by love. They arranged for Marcus to be discharged a day early with prescriptions and a follow-up appointment. Jennifer drove him herself back to that corner where a crowd had gathered around Buddy. When the car pulled up and Marcus slowly stepped out, there was a moment of perfect stillness. Buddy's head lifted, his entire body went rigid, and then recognition. The sound Buddy made wasn't a bark, it was something more, a cry, a yelp of pure joy that seemed to contain every emotion the dog had felt during those 5 endless days. Buddy launched himself at Marcus with such force they both nearly toppled over. The dog was everywhere at once, jumping up, licking Marcus's face, running in circles, coming back to press against his legs, making sounds of happiness and relief that most didn't know dogs could make. Marcus dropped to his knees, ignoring the pain it caused, and wrapped his arms around Buddy. Tears poured down his face into the dog's fur. "I know, boy. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm here now. I'm here." Every person watching, Sarah, Mrs. Chen, Tom, the college students, Jennifer, even strangers who'd stopped to see what was happening, every single person was crying. Because this wasn't just a man and a dog reuniting, this was proof that love exists in its purest form, that loyalty isn't dependent on what someone can provide for you, that the bonds we form with those we care for transcend logic, convenience, and every practical consideration. What happened next changed everything.
The reunion video that someone recorded went viral. By the next morning, millions of people had watched Marcus and Buddy's story. The comments poured in. "This is what love looks like. That dog is more loyal than most humans. We don't deserve dogs. This man needs help. How can we help?" And here's where you come in, because awareness is beautiful, but action changes lives. Within a week, a GoFundMe campaign raised over $50,000 for Marcus. A local apartment complex offered him a pet-friendly unit at reduced rent. A veterinary clinic provided free care for Buddy, who needed dental work and vaccinations. A counseling center offered Marcus free therapy to address the trauma of homelessness and to help him process his journey. But more than that, the story changed how people in that neighborhood saw homelessness. The corner where Marcus and Buddy used to sit became a donation point. People would leave bags of supplies, food, blankets, hygiene products for others who needed them. The local businesses partnered to provide job training. One dog's loyalty had awakened an entire community's compassion. Marcus found part-time work at a warehouse, lighter duty than before, accommodating his back injury. He rented a small studio apartment where Buddy had his own bed, although the dog still preferred to sleep pressed against Marcus. Slowly, piece by piece, Marcus rebuilt his life. But he never forgot where he'd been. Every Saturday, Marcus and Buddy would return to their old corner, not to sit there, but to talk with others who were living on the streets, to share food, supplies, and most importantly, to see them, to make eye contact, to acknowledge their humanity. "Buddy taught me something," Marcus told people. "When you truly love someone, you don't leave when things get hard. You stay, you show up, you refuse to look away." The lessons that echo forever. So what can we learn from a scruffy dog and a homeless man? First, loyalty isn't conditional. Buddy didn't love Marcus because Marcus fed him well or provided comfortable shelter. Buddy loved Marcus because love in its truest form isn't transactional. It's not a contract with terms and conditions. It's a choice you make every single day to stand beside someone regardless of circumstances. Second, the most vulnerable among us have profound lessons to teach us. Society had written Marcus off as invisible, as less than, but his relationship with Buddy demonstrated a depth of character and capacity for love that many people in comfortable homes struggle to achieve. We miss so much wisdom when we look away from those who are struggling. Third, one act of loyalty can inspire thousands of acts of compassion. Buddy's refusal to abandon Marcus didn't just save one man's life, it awakened empathy in countless others. It reminded people of what really matters. It created ripples that spread far beyond that one corner in that one city. Fourth, we all have the capacity to be like Buddy. Every day we make choices about whether to look away or to see, whether to walk past or to stop, whether to judge or to understand, whether to abandon or to stay.
Who in your life needs a buddy? Who needs someone who will refuse to give up on them, who will sit beside them in their darkest moments, who will wait patiently for them to heal? And maybe more importantly, are you willing to be that person? The challenge that starts today. Here's your call to action. Not at the end of this story, but right here, right now, in the middle of your day. Look up. Tomorrow morning, when you're rushing to work or school or wherever life takes you, take a moment to look up from your phone. Make eye contact with the people around you. See the human beings who populate your community, including those sitting on corners with cardboard signs. You don't have to give money, though if you can, please do. You don't have to solve all their problems, but you can do what Buddy did. You can see them. You can acknowledge their existence. You can offer basic dignity. Say hello. Make eye contact. Smile. Ask their name. Remember it. These small acts of recognition can be profound for someone who has become used to being invisible. Second action, support organizations working to end homelessness. Research local shelters, food banks, and outreach programs. Donate money, time, or supplies. Advocate for policies that address the root causes of homelessness: mental health care, addiction treatment, affordable housing, living wages. Third action, share this story, not for entertainment, but as a reminder. Post it on social media with this message: today I'm choosing to see the people around me. Today I'm choosing compassion over comfort. Who's with me? Because that's how change happens, one person at a time, one choice at a time, one act of staying when everyone else walks away. The mirror that shows us who we are. Here's the uncomfortable truth that Buddy's story holds up like a mirror. We live in a world that often values comfort over compassion, convenience over connection, judgment over understanding. We've created systems that make it easy to ignore suffering. We've built cities where we can drive past poverty without feeling it. We've designed lives where we can order everything online, never having to encounter the complexity of the world beyond our doors. But does that make us happy? Does that make us whole? Study after study shows that despite increasing wealth and comfort in developed nations, rates of depression, anxiety, and loneliness are skyrocketing. We're more connected digitally than ever before, yet we feel more isolated. We have more things, but less meaning. Maybe that's because we've forgotten what Buddy never forgot, that connection, real, vulnerable, committed connection, is what makes life worth living. Buddy could have chosen comfort. He could have found an easier life, but he chose love instead. He chose the discomfort of loyalty. He chose to stay. And in that choice, he found purpose. He found meaning. He found the thing that makes all the hard days worth it. What if we made the same choice? What if instead of optimizing our lives for maximum comfort and minimum inconvenience, we optimized for connection, for loyalty, for showing up for the people who need us? Your life would be harder in some ways, but it would be infinitely richer. The story that never really ends. A year after their reunion, Marcus and Buddy are still together. Marcus has reconnected with his daughter, who flew out to meet the dog who saved her father's life. She cried when she met Buddy, hugging the dog for a full 5 minutes while whispering, thank you for taking care of my dad when I couldn't." Marcus still struggles sometimes. There are days when the pain flares up, when the memories of those cold nights press down on him. There are moments when he wonders if he can really keep his life together this time. But then he looks at Buddy, older now, a little grayer around the muzzle, and he remembers. If this dog could wait for him through 5 days of uncertainty, could chase an ambulance until his legs gave out, could refuse every offer of comfort just to sit on a cold corner waiting for Marcus to return, then Marcus can push through one more day. That's the power of being truly seen, of being loved without condition, of knowing that at least one soul in this universe refuses to give up on you. The corner where they used to sit now has a small community garden. People who were inspired by Marcus and Buddy's story created it as a place of hope, a reminder that from concrete and hardship, beautiful things can grow. And sometimes Marcus and Buddy sit there together, the man's hand resting on the dog's head, watching people tend the flowers, watching strangers help each other, watching a community remember how to care. "You started all this," Marcus says to Buddy, "just by staying, just by loving me when I had nothing to give you in return." Buddy's tail thumps against the ground. His eyes close contentedly in the sunshine. And if dogs could smile, well, this one definitely does. Your story starts now. So here we are at the end of this story and the beginning of yours. You've just spent these minutes reading about a dog who redefined loyalty and a man who learned that his worth wasn't determined by his circumstances. You've seen how one relationship awakened an entire community's compassion. Now what? You can close this story and move on with your day, touched perhaps, but unchanged. That's okay. Sometimes we're not ready for the lesson. Or you can let this story change you. You can decide that today is the day you start looking up, seeing clearly, staying present, choosing connection over comfort. You can be someone's buddy. Maybe it's a friend who's struggling and needs you to sit with them through the hard times. Maybe it's a family member who's made mistakes and needs you to refuse to give up on them. Maybe it's a stranger on a corner who needs you to see their humanity. The world has enough people who walk by without looking. It needs more people who stay. It needs more people who chase the ambulance, who wait on the cold corner, who split the sandwich even when they're hungry, who refuse to abandon no matter what. Be that person, starting today, starting right now. Because here's the final truth that Buddy and Marcus taught us. Love isn't just a feeling you have, it's a choice you make over and over again, especially when it's hard, especially when everyone else is walking away, especially when there's no reward except the knowing that you stayed. That's when love matters most. That's when loyalty becomes legacy. That's when a simple act of refusing to abandon someone becomes a story that changes the world. So go, look up, see someone, stay with someone, be someone's buddy. The world is waiting for your loyalty, your compassion, your refusal to look away. And somewhere, a scruffy brown dog with soulful eyes is wagging his tail in approval, knowing that the lesson has finally been learned.